Hello guys, welcome to another lecture of Hispanic American literature. Today we're gonna talk about Octavio Paz. Octavio Paz, who won the Nobel Prize in Literature in 1990, is a Mexican poet and author. Is one of the most difficult poets to pigeonhole. He's a poet neo-modernista. In its beginnings, and later was more existential, sometimes is metaphysical, surrealistic. You can also see that his work about social issues. He's a very complex author. His poems are very intellectual for a minority. He mixed linguistics science with visual science. His main work is called Sandstone, Piedra de Sol. Was written in 1957, and it's a very long poem in which he went back to the roots of Mexican culture. It's very metaphysical, very with the big amount of symbols as well, and he just described the past, the history of Mexico, mixing with the Spanish history, and he made a very interesting mixture. You can find it reading by himself in YouTube. Just look for Piedra de Sol and you will find it there. Well, we're gonna go now with the boom hispanoamericano. What was the boom hispanoamericano? Well, it was both editorial phenomenon, social phenomenon, but it basically was a group of writers who began writing in the 50s and who were linked by the support to the Cuban Revolution of 1959. Here it was developed during the second part of the 20th century. In the boom hispanoamericano includes probably the most known names, like Julio Cortázar, Gabriel García Márquez, or Mario Vargas Llosa. We're going to start first with Julio Cortázar. Julio Cortázar was an author born in Argentina. He wrote metaphysical books. His biggest work is called Rayuela. Hopscotch. It was written in 1963, but probably its most important work, Historia de Cronopios y Famas, Cronopios and Fames, written in 1962, because links more with his theories, his literal theories about neo-fantasia. He just showed a normal situation, a daily situation, and suddenly he includes like a fantastic element. We're gonna read now one of his tales called Instrucciones para dar cuerda a un reloj. Preámbulo, instrucciones para dar cuerda a un reloj, which is including Historias de Cronopios y Famas. I'm gonna let you hear the text in English and I'm gonna read it in Spanish. Piensa en esto. Cuando te regalan un reloj, te regalan un pequeño infierno florido, una cadena de rosas, un calabozo de aire. No te dan solamente el reloj, que los cumplas muy felices y esperamos que te dure porque es de buena marca. Suizo, con áncora de rubíes. No te regalan solamente ese menudo picapedrero que te atarás a la muñeca y pasearás contigo. Te regalarán, no lo saben, lo terrible es que no lo saben, te regalarán un nuevo pedazo frágil y precario de ti mismo. Algo que es tuyo pero no es tu cuerpo, que hay que atar a tu cuerpo con su correa como un bracito desesperado colgándose de tu muñeca. Te regalan la necesidad de darle cuerda todos los días, la obligación de darle cuerda para que siga siendo un reloj. Te regalan la obsesión de atender a la hora exacta en las vitrinas de las joyerías, en el anuncio por la radio, en el servicio telefónico. Te regalan el miedo de perderlo, de que te lo roben, de que se te caiga al suelo y se te rompa. Te regalan su marca y la seguridad de que es una marca mejor que las otras. Te regalan la tendencia de comparar tu reloj con los demás relojes. No te regalan un reloj, tú eres el regalado. A ti te ofrecen para el cumpleaños del reloj. Interesting, isn't it? Well, we're going now with Gabriel García Márquez. Gabriel García Márquez is probably the most known, the most famous author in the boom hispanoamericano. He won the Nobel Prize in Literature in 1982. His most important or most known book is, of course, 100 Años de Soledad, 100 Years of Solitude, published in 1967. It is the book written in Spanish who sell most amount of copies. Apart of Don Quixote, of course. Well, his books, he has a very kind of topics he talk about. He talk about conquest novels, magic realism, which is his most known and appreciated kind of books. He's known for the reach of his style, his vocabulary, the original stories that he tells. The structures tends to be like in a circle, like it begins in this. The beginning of the books, it's similar to the end of the book in some way. He also has humor. Humor is a very important feature in all his books, but as well as tragedy. He was very linked to the Cuban Revolution as well. He was friend of Fidel Castro. So the social issues are also important in all his work. Next, a part of 100 Years of Solitude, Love in the Times of Cholera, El amor en los tiempos del cólera, or Crónica de una muerte anunciada, La hojarasca, are more of his books are also important. We'll go now with Mario Vargas Llosa. Mario Vargas Llosa also won the Nobel Prize in Literature in 2010. He tends to experiment both with the in a linguistic way, but also in a structure. He has an ironic vision of the life, and he also has different kind of novels. We can find parodies of legislative text like Pantaleón y las Visitadoras, written in 1973. We have some orthography books like La tía Julia y el escribidor, written in 1977, or a social critic, and also his most famous book, La ciudad y los perros. In English it's called The Time of the Hero, and it was published in 1962 in Barcelona. And it says that with the publication of this book, La ciudad y los perros, the boom begins. When he published this in Barcelona, everybody in Europe starts to be more interested in the South American literature, in that production, because all the boom authors have like a one characteristic in common, one common feature: originality. In Spain, there were authors were writing realistic novels, and those people came with fresh material, you know, with new stories, new points of view. They have read Kafka, they have read Faulkner, Joyce, so they have fresh ideas and new ways to tell stories. That's why we call it boom, like an explosion of new novels, new things to tell. And with the publication of La Ciudad de los Perros, people in Spain, the critics, realized that it was a new thing, and we hadn't seen something similar before. So they started to be more interested in to publish books written in Latin America. So after La Ciudad de los Perros came important books written by Gabriel García Márquez, but also Carlos Fuentes, Julio Cortázar, also Rulfo, although he was born a little bit before them. Just to sum up, what you have to know is that boom is not like modernismo or like vanguardia. It's not a literary movement. It was an editorial phenomenon. The editorials just focused in Latin America and started to publish their books. So in the libraries or in the bookstores, all you could find during the 70s or 80s in Spain or even in France were books written by Hispanoamerican authors. Nowadays, there's some authors that follows these aesthetics values, like magic realism. You have Isabel Allende, for example. It's a good example. Well, thank you guys for watching this video about Boom Hispanoamericano and Octavio Paz. And we are going to, in the next lecture, we're going to finish with the Hispano-American literature. We're going to talk about the contemporary tendencies. See you then. Thank you.